Welcome to Space Matrix, where we break down the most significant events shaping our world. Breaking news tonight, October 3rd, 2025, as the nation reels from a stunning announcement out of Washington. President Trump has just imposed a sweeping 50% tariff on all imported goods, sending shockwaves through global markets and households alike. This aggressive policy is designed to force manufacturing back to the U.S., making foreign products dramatically more expensive in an effort to revive American factories and create new jobs at home. The surprise announcement goes far beyond previous trade disputes, impacting everything from high-end technology to everyday consumer goods, and catching both businesses and consumers off guard. The administration argues that only a drastic, unprecedented move can break America's deep reliance on overseas production, especially from China, which has dominated global supply chains for decades. President Trump calls this a decisive battle for industrial independence, vowing to correct what he describes as decades of unfair trade practices that have hollowed out American industry. Markets are in turmoil, with stocks plunging and businesses scrambling to understand the full implications as the tariffs take effect immediately, leaving little time to adjust. The White House is betting on short-term pain for long-term gain, hoping to spark a renaissance in American manufacturing and revitalize the nation's industrial base for future generations. Critics, however, warn of potentially catastrophic consequences, with economists estimating an $87 billion disruption to the economy and fears of rising inflation. The administration wagers that domestic producers can ramp up to meet demand, and that American consumers will accept higher prices in exchange for greater economic security and national self-sufficiency. The move is also a calculated effort to force America's trading partners back to the negotiating table, aiming to secure deals on Washington's terms and restore what the administration sees as balance in global trade. However, the sheer breadth of the tariff means that no corner of the economy is untouched, from agriculture and manufacturing to healthcare and technology, making this a truly monumental decision. The era of globalized free trade, as we have known it for generations, appears to be coming to a dramatic end, with ripple effects felt around the world. The administration's gamble on economic nationalism is a bold, risky move with far-reaching consequences, setting the stage for a new chapter in America's economic story. The housing and construction industries are sounding the alarm, warning that the sector is facing one of its toughest challenges in decades. Industry leaders and union representatives are voicing urgent concerns, highlighting the growing crisis that threatens jobs and economic stability. Across the country, projects are grinding to a halt, with many construction sites now eerily silent and equipment sitting idle. A 50% tariff on imported materials like lumber and steel has sent costs skyrocketing, making it nearly impossible for builders to stay on budget. Builders face a grim reality as new home construction costs soar, threatening to price millions of families out of the market and delay countless projects. The impact extends to commercial projects and home renovations, with project budgets blown apart and timelines thrown into chaos. Construction firms warn of widespread cancellations and looming layoffs, arguing that domestic supply simply can't meet the overwhelming demand. Canada, a key supplier of building materials, now faces losing its largest export market, creating new diplomatic tensions and economic uncertainty. Homebuilder associations are pleading for urgent reconsideration, fearing the policy will cripple the industry and put thousands of jobs at risk. The dream of homeownership may be the first casualty of this trade war, as more families find themselves locked out of the market. Rising material costs translate directly to higher home prices and rents, putting even more strain on already stretched household budgets. The construction sector, once a major engine of job growth, now faces intense uncertainty and mounting financial strain, with workers unsure of their future. The administration's push for industrial independence, while aiming to strengthen domestic production, has inadvertently created a crisis for a critical sector of the economy, leaving many to wonder what comes next. The 50% tariff chills the pharmaceutical and tech sectors. Industries reliant on global supply chains face disaster with soaring costs for essential components. Medicine risks drug shortages and price hikes, threatening patient health. Tech companies like Apple face stark choices: absorb costs or pass them to consumers, making products luxury items. The administration demands new U.S. manufacturing plants for exemptions, putting companies in a tough spot. The film industry is caught in the crossfire, with foreign films more expensive to license. This could lead to a less diverse media landscape, isolating American culture. From medicine to movies, the tariffs' consequences are widespread, disrupting industries and raising costs. The administration's high-stakes negotiation gambles with patient health and tech market stability. The 50% tariff has become an all-encompassing economic blockade. No industry relying on imports is safe, from trucks to clothing. The goal is to re-engineer the U.S. economy toward self-sufficiency, despite immediate pain. Retailers like Walmart face existential threats, forced to raise prices, risking consumer spending drops. President Trump threatens further tariffs if countries retaliate or companies don't comply. This climate of instability discourages investment, dragging the economy. The strategy is maximum pressure, leaving no room for shifting production. Access to the American market is now a privilege earned through domestic investment. Businesses see this as a reckless gamble, pushing the economy toward a dangerous cliff. The global reaction to the sudden imposition of a 50% tariff is both swift and overwhelmingly negative, sending shockwaves through diplomatic and economic circles worldwide. Allies and rivals alike quickly unite in condemnation, denouncing the move as a blatant violation of established trade rules and international agreements. Diplomatic channels buzz with urgent activity as emergency meetings are called, with leaders bracing for the possibility of a full-scale trade war that could destabilize the global economy. Retaliation is all but certain, with foreign governments preparing countermeasures targeting key U.S. exports like soybeans, aircraft, and other high-value goods. This tit-for-tat escalation threatens to bring global trade to a standstill, risking widespread job losses and potentially triggering a worldwide recession. By bypassing established trade dispute systems, the U.S. undermines the very rules that have governed global commerce for decades, raising concerns about the future of international cooperation. Allies feel deeply betrayed, prompting them to rethink long-standing alliances and accelerate the formation of new trade blocs that deliberately exclude the U.S. The long-term consequences could be profound, eroding trust in international cooperation and making future collaboration far more difficult. In response, companies scramble to de-risk their supply chains, shifting production and reducing dependence on U.S. suppliers to avoid future disruptions. Instead of bringing jobs back to American soil, the policy may unintentionally drive investment, innovation, and employment opportunities to other countries. The global backlash is unmistakable, signaling a dramatic shift in the world order and the emergence of new economic alliances. The U.S. now faces the real risk of isolation, as the rest of the world adapts and moves forward without its leadership at the table. The policy's economic and diplomatic fallout is already significant, with markets tumbling and experts warning of lasting damage. The administration's high-stakes gamble could ultimately reshape global trade dynamics for years to come, with consequences that are only beginning to unfold. The policy's immediate victims are American farmers and consumers. Retaliatory tariffs threaten the agricultural sector, closing markets built over decades. Farmers face plummeting prices and unsellable surpluses, risking bankruptcy. Consumers see higher prices on goods, acting as a massive tax. The administration urges buying American, but domestic alternatives are limited. Farm state lawmakers warn of devastation in rural communities. Consumer groups highlight the policy's regressive impact on low-income families. The promised manufacturing jobs are years away, while pain is felt now. Economists warn of stagflation, with rising inflation and slowing growth. The policy's true cost could be far greater, affecting jobs and family finances. The future of the economy is shrouded in uncertainty. The 50% tariff creates an $87 billion economic hole. Supporters hope it forces trading partners into fairer trade deals. Most economists express deep concern over the risks. A global trade war could shatter supply chains and trigger a recession. Businesses face volatility, adapting pricing and sourcing strategies. Consumers adjust budgets for higher prices on goods. The economic landscape is reshaped, with radical uncertainty replacing stability. The policy's success depends on future trade negotiations. The world watches to see if this gamble pays off or backfires.